Hi friends and welcome to my channel. I'm Jeanette. Isn't this gorgeous? My daughter sent this to me and asked me if I could replicate this on a smaller scale. The artist is from Instagram. The name of her channel is Grand Studio 2022. Be sure to check it out. Check out her channel because she does incredible pieces of art using air dry clay. So I began the process of trying to recreate this for my daughter. I'm using Crayola air dry clay. I had this huge tub of it, and I found it at first, when it was still very, very moist, difficult to work with. But after it dried out a little bit, I found it much easier to work with. And it's really inexpensive for the amount of clay that you get. So you can see here that I'm creating the little discs. And what the original artist did was she used the tip of her finger. I'm assuming it's a woman. I didn't see pictures, but she used the tip of her finger to create the indentation and make the clay look like a little bowl. But because of my nails, I was leaving marks that I didn't want in the clay. So I found it easier to use my knuckle. I used the knuckle of my pinky for the smaller ones and the knuckle of my pointer finger for the larger ones. And I'm sure there are other ways to do this, but this was the easiest way I found to do it. Now I also tried a tool that has this large ball at the end, but the clay kept sticking to it and it was a mess. So this was easiest for me. Now began the process of painting each and every one of these little discs. And I suppose that spray painting them would have been a lot easier, but I didn't have spray paint. But I did have this really bright gold acrylic paint. It's just inexpensive acrylic paint from Craft Paint. And it comes in a little bottle. And I loved how bright it was. So I started painting these. I painted the fronts and then I let it dry, and then I came back and I painted the back and the sides, making sure that I covered it completely. At one point I had even tried to use one of my liquid chrome pens, but that would have taken forever and I would have used up every single pen that I had. Now when you're creating these discs, don't try and do it all at once because it will get boring very quickly. If you do it over a few days and just make sure that they're completely dry before you start painting them, you'll have enough discs. I did not make enough, and you'll see later on what I did to try and fix that problem. So here I have just an inexpensive canvas. This may be from Dollar Tree. I'm not even sure where I got this. I've bought so many canvases over time that I don't remember where I got them. So I'm using Meeden acrylic paint for this, and this is a very thick paint, so I do have some water off camera, and I keep dipping my brush into the water to thin out the paint. The first thing that I wanted to do was to paint the sides. I want to make sure that you don't see any white from the canvas, so I'm just getting the paint on here, and once I have the canvas completely covered, I will smooth out the paint, and I'll show you how I do that in a moment. Now, depending on what paint you use, you may need to do 2 coats. All right, so now all the paint is on the canvas. It's pretty covered, and I am just going back very slowly with a light touch of my paintbrush to smooth the paint so that I don't see any brush strokes when it dries. So here I am smoothing it out, and you can see that it works fairly well. You can hardly see the brush strokes at all. Now my canvas is dry. I've lined up all my little discs according to size, and you can see that I have some dots on the canvas, and that's because I tried to lay down all the discs and the pattern that I wanted, and I didn't glue them. But once I had them down, I used the paint to add a few little dots here and there, but I didn't like it, so I took the discs off because, again, I had not yet glued them. And then I just put another coat of the black paint on the canvas. And then I decided I'm not going to try and figure this out. I'm just going to glue them down. And I wasn't sure which type of glue to use. I didn't want to use like an E6000 that would take forever to dry, and I didn't want to use hot glue because I thought it would be too thick. And when you look at the painting from the side, I didn't want you to be able to see the glue. So I opted for some crazy glue. And because these discs are so lightweight, I think that this should hold fairly well. So you can see that I started in the center with the largest discs, and I'm going in a circular pattern, adding the discs. And it was a good idea to separate the sizes. I found it easier. And as I was doing this, applying or adhering the discs to the canvas, that's when I realized that I did not make enough discs. I should have probably made double the amount that I made. I'll probably do this again. And make sure to check out her Instagram. Again, it's a Grand Studio 2022. She is so inspiring. Her work is gorgeous. And I'm definitely getting lots of ideas. It's amazing to me what people can do with air dry clay. So I found that putting the glue on the canvas instead of trying to put it on the disc and then laying the disc on top is the safest way when you're using crazy glue to adhere these so that you don't end up gluing your fingers together. So we're getting close to finishing up adhering these discs. And then you'll see how I fill in the spaces in between because I didn't make enough. And while you watch me finish this, I'll remind you that all the products used are listed in the description box. Click on Show More and the list will expand. There you'll find a link that will take you to my Amazon store where all the products are listed. And you can check them out for yourself or purchase them if you'd like. And if you have any questions about anything you've seen me do here, leave it in the comments. I'll always get back to you. Also, check out our Facebook group, Vivo Vintage Design Tutorials, where you can post your versions of the paintings and techniques learned on this channel. We have a really great group of members. It feels like a little family, and I'm very active in the group. So if you ever have any questions or need help with anything, our members and I are always happy to help. So here you see that I'm using the back side of a brush and I'm dotting in some of the gold paint to fill in the areas in between the discs so it looks like there's more because again, I did not make enough. And as I go out towards the end of the canvas, I'm making the dots further apart and a little bit smaller. Then I decided to enlarge the ones closest to the center, so I just used the back of the brush and swirled it around and made those dots a little bit bigger. Well, this is a lot of fun to do. And again, I have a lot more ideas of other pieces to create like this. I hope that you enjoyed the video and that you give it a try. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.